So today my sermon goes with his because it's talking about how to counteract the Jezebel spirit and how to let go of control, and that's by showing honor. And I think that's such an important thing for us to understand, because you're never going to reach your promotion or where you want to be at in life if you don't show honor. It'll never, ever, ever happen for you. And I think, there's been times where we've had employees in the past, and they have a lot of opinions about stuff that they want to do this or they want to do that or whatever, and they won't just submit and understand or do the proper thing by asking, or just in any situation you see it at restaurants, anything, and they won't submit to the boss, and they can't understand why things aren't going right for them. They can't understand why they haven't reached their promotion, or why they're not in the boss's position, because they didn't honor, they didn't submit. So the title of my sermon is How do you smell? How do you smell to God? Do you stink or do you smell good? So to honor someone is to regard them with great respect. Honor is the action we engage in toward another, which reveals the love we have in our hearts toward them. Honor is being in unity and order with authority God has placed in our lives. While love is an emotion, honor is an action. Honor is love in action. Time, timi, is Greek for honor, and it means to treat with value or respect. So if you don't respect or value the authority in your life, then how can you ever show them honor? You can't. So to dishonor is to treat someone as valuable or as common. This is to disgrace a person. Honor is to treat someone as precious, as weighty, and high esteem, to regard highly. So when you think about your parents, I think about dad, I think about mom, and you think about them differently than you think about other people's parents, because you honor them so much, you love them so much, you care about them so much, you do anything for them, you die for them. You just think about them differently. You just have such a high place in your heart for them, and you just show them that honor because you love them, you respect them, you have them in your highest esteem, and you treat them with a lot of value because they have that in your life. So honor protects the church, the nuclear family, the marriage, social relationships, government, the less fortunate, and the workplace. Chaos erupts where there is no honor. We demonstrate honor by showing respect, our esteem, our giving, our listening, our willingness to submit, or to defer respectfully. So there's been so many situations in my life where I just, I have to go to dad and be like, I don't get it. I don't understand. Why am I not here yet? Why don't I understand this yet? And I have to go to him as my authority structure and ask for his advice and trust his advice, because he's already been there. He's already seen it. He's already done it. And I don't have to understand, because I won't ever understand. I'm right here right now. He's way up here right now. So when I go to him and I ask him these things or try to understand stuff, he gives me that peace of mind and that understanding of knowing that, what God's word says about it, why I'm at where I'm at, how I can get to where I want to be at, what I need to do, the next step of what I have to do, and, those areas in my life where I have to submit and understand these things. So it's so important to respect and honor your authority structures, because it shows your faith in them. It shows that God's placed those people in your life for a reason. God wouldn't have placed them in your life if he didn't trust them or they didn't have that understanding. So you have to understand them and show your faith in them, and know that they've already been there. And 10 out of 10 times, they're going to be right. So 1 Samuel 2:30 says, "Therefore the Lord, the God of Israel, says, I promised that your branch of the tribe of Levi would always be my priest. But I will honor those who honor me, and I will despise those who think lightly of me." So if you think about that, that's so important, because God honors those who God honors you if you honor him. How can he promote you or do something in your life when you're disrespecting him, when you're not showing honor to him, when you're not putting your faith in him, and we're not trusting him in a situation? You have to trust him and let him do his work in you and do what his word says, or he can't do that. He can't show you honor. He can't trust you. There's times, and I've been guilty of it too, not understanding, but there's been times where there's been people that are like Luke was saying, there's someone walking and be like, and they have a huge idea about something, and it's ridiculous, completely ridiculous. And And then they won't come to work on time. This is just an example. They won't come to work on time. They won't show respect where respect is due. And then they want to talk about this big vision they have for their life, but they won't show honor and submission where they're at right now. You can never get promoted and get to where you want to be at when you're not doing what you're supposed to do right here. You have to do what you're supposed to do right here. You're never, ever, ever going to go be some big old CEO of something when you run your mouth and you can't show up to work on time. Like, that will literally never happen for you. And I'm like, Mom and Dad or my parents are never going to fire me, but I still go to work 10 minutes early every day. And there's been one time I was flying and Luke tracked me and he's like, why are you going so fast? I'm like, I don't want to be late. And he's like, it's Mom and Dad. Stop freaking out. Just wake up early. I'm like, true, I do need to do that. But today I didn't. So I'm booking it to work. This was a year ago. Because I don't want to be late, because that's disrespectful. I don't care if they're my parents. They're still my boss, and I'm going to show up on time because that's when I was scheduled. Should I speed? No. And I fixed it, and I get up earlier. But you just do what you have to do, so you can go where you're going to be. You're never, you think it's hard to show up to a 9-to-5 job, and working in daycare, you have to be gifted for it, 'cause if you're not, you won't make it. But, 'cause kids are kids. But you have to, you can't do that, then you're not going to go be a CEO and hustle. And you're going to college and that's wonderful, but you have to learn basic principles right now. Like, it's not going to happen. And I hear that so often. And I'm like, you have to be faithful in the little things. And if you think Mom and Dad are so gracious and they've worked with people, but you're not going to go to some CEO job and show up late and think they're going to keep you there. They're not. They will fire you. Bye-bye. You're gone. So you just have to be faithful and show honor where honor's due, because that's so rude to not. I'm glad I got that off my chest. So, it's been weighing on me for a long time. So, where was I? So, those who honor God will honor, but those who dishonor him will be lightly esteemed. This means the person will be disdained. Disdain means unworthy of respect or even acknowledgement. People without honor of God are not even worthy of notice. This means no answer to their prayers or help from God. So you want to dishonor God by not doing what he says, or by, being spiteful and trying to undermine people, or, gossip, or whatever it is. There's so many different things in the world that people do that dishonor God. But how can you show dishonor and then go to him for help and expect him to help you? He can't do that. It doesn't happen in any relationship. You can't go to someone that you're totally trashing or being rude to or gossiping against and expect their help. Like, that's never going to happen for you ever. So you can't dishonor God and then just don't know why you're not getting a miracle or a breakthrough. Like, that's just not going to happen. So when God smells honor, he breaks the curse off your life. When Noah came out of the ark, he sacrificed an offering, and God smelled the sweet aroma that arose from the altar. Genesis 8:20 through 21. Then Noah built an altar to the Lord, and there he sacrificed as burnt offerings the animals and birds that had been approved for that purpose. And the Lord was pleased with the aroma of the sacrifice and said to himself, I will never again curse the ground because of the human race. Even though everything they think or imagine is bent toward evil from childhood, I will never destroy it again. I will never again destroy all living things. So think about this sacrifice and this altar that Noah did for God after the flood, after 40 days and 40 nights and everything. He put that out there for God. And that God recognized that and saw that great honor that he showed to him, that Noah showed to God. And because of that, he said he would never again destroy all living things, even though everything is so corrupt. Honoring God and others releases a sweet-smelling aroma over your life. Noah built an altar. He built it in honor of God. When you build your life in fear, you build dishonor, and God has to tear it down. There's been so many situations where I used to be really, fearful about, next step things, I didn't have that full revelation and, the aha epiphany of God and all that he does, and how you can so stand firm and understand that, you don't have to understand to be fearless and know that God has your back. But the more I showed honor to God, the more I did my devotion, showing honor to Him, the more I talked about Him with other people, the more that you show honor to God, the more that He can do in your life, and that those fears and those anxieties and those different things that you struggle with, it'll be like a miracle, and you won't ever face it again. Like there'll be a tough time come up, and you'll be like, it's fine, like I'm not worried about it. Like when COVID came around, I'm like, if I die, I know where I'm going. Like it's fine. So like you're not fearful. You know that God has you in His hands. Every person has to build their own altar of honor. You can't just see other people have a good relationship with someone or show honor about something. You can't just ride their coattail on that. You have to do it yourself. You have to show your obedience and show your honor, because no one can do it for you. And when God smells honor, He gives promises, and He fulfills dreams, and He opens doors. He heals marriages. He makes favorable decisions. It's all about God. To Him be the glory and praise forever. So we are to honor Him and trust those God has placed authority in our lives. And as we do, we can count on God's protection in our lives. So like Luke was saying, with a parent telling a kid not to run in the street, they can't fathom why. They don't know that there's a red BMW every day flying through the street right there, and they know it's coming. Or any car, you don't know, and they could get hit and get killed, and they don't understand that. So these authorities that God has placed in our lives is for our protection. They understand. They know things that you do not know. Dad knows a whole lot that I don't understand, like he does. I go to him, I go to Mom, I just, like, there's just things that I don't understand right now. I'm growing, I'm maturing, and I'm learning. And so I know God's placed them in my lives, and I understand that, and I know that. And let me see here. God will watch over you, your family, and all that is important to you. When we dishonor others, we dishonor God. So show me the person you honor, and I will show you the person you are. If you honor no one, what does that make you? A nobody. So if you think about people that are just real lonely in their life, and they feel like they're lacking and they don't understand, or you can trace back into their life that they're not respecting their authority. They don't have someone that they go to like they should. They're not honoring who they should honor. And God places people in our lives to help us and to protect us and help us grow and help us see, because you can't do it all on your own. Mark 6:3-4 says, "Then they scoffed, 'He's just a carpenter, the son of Mary, and the brother of James, Joseph, Judas, and Simon. And his sisters live right there among us.' They were deeply offended and refused to believe him. Then Jesus told them, 'A prophet is honored everywhere, except in his own hometown, and among his relatives and his own family.'" Jesus couldn't do any mighty miracles when he went back home because the people didn't honor him and believe in him. The Messiah was right there, and they couldn't even recognize it. They had no idea. Like, imagine if Jesus was standing right here, like in human form, in front of me, and I just was like, someone was just like, like he can't do it. It's not him, whatever. You can't, like, they literally didn't realize the miracle that was right in front of them. And there would have been so many healings, so many miracles that could have happened, and he couldn't do it because they had no faith. They didn't believe. Matthew 8:5-13. When Jesus returned to Capernaum, a Roman officer came and pleaded with him, "Lord, my young servant lies in bed, paralyzed and in terrible pain." Jesus said, "I will come and heal him." But the officer said, "Lord, I am not worthy to have you come into my home. Just say the word from where you are, and my servant will be healed. I know this because I am under the authority of my superior officers, and I have authority over my soldiers. I only need to say, 'Go,' and they go, or 'Come,' and they come. And if I say to my slaves, 'Do this,' they do it." When Jesus heard this, he was amazed. Turning to those who were following him, he said, "I tell you the truth, I haven't seen faith like this in all Israel. And I tell you this, that many Gentiles will come from all over the world, from east and west, and sit down with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob at the feast in the kingdom of heaven. But many Israelites, those for whom the kingdom was prepared, will be thrown into outer darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth." Then Jesus said to the Roman officer, "Go back home, because you believed it has happened." And the young servant was healed the same hour. I've always loved this passage in this story, because that showed so much faith for him to say. First of all, he showed honor in so many different ways in this story, because he said, "I'm not worthy to have you come into my home." He recognized who Jesus was, in all that he could do. And he said, I'm not worthy for you to even come into my house. That showed him honor. That showed God honor. Just say the word from where you are. He knew the power that he held and knew that he could do it from right where he was. Showed him honor because he recognized who he was. And then he said, I know this because I am under the authority of my superior officers. He understood authority. He understood that that Jesus had authority over everybody, and he could understand that because he had authority under his Roman soldiers, and they did everything that he said. So he correlated that with Jesus and knew that Jesus could just do it at the snap of his fingers, and he would be healed. When Jesus heard this, he was amazed. See, it shows Jesus was so amazed and said he hasn't ever seen faith like that in all of Israel. So this man understood authority and how to honor a person of authority. And Jesus said he had more faith than anyone in Israel. So if you think about that, he had more faith in Mother Mary, John the Baptist, Peter, or John, which is amazing. Without faith, it is impossible to please God. So here we see a connection between honor and faith. We could say that without honor of authority, we cannot please God. Most need a revelation of submission to authority, which is the key manifestation of honor. See, if you don't have a revelation of submission and just to submit even when you don't understand, you can't show honor. You can't ever show honor that way. If you want to please God, gain favor with God, and get promoted by God, you must learn to honor the leaders God places in your life. You will have to pass the honor test to get promoted, like we were talking about earlier with government officials or just in work relations. Everyone can relate to that. If you don't just stop, do what you're told to do, show up on time, be faithful in the little things, and show honor that way, because that shows honor. When your boss says to get to work at a certain time, you get there at that time. When they say this is your job description, you do what it says that your job description is, and that shows honor by doing what they said to do. And your pastor in spiritual matters, your boss at work, the police officer on the highway, the father growing up in the home, and your husband if married. If you can receive a partial reward, you can receive a partial reward, a full reward, or lose your reward based on the level of honor that you show. So if you think about that, you don't want to get to heaven and realize you lost all your rewards because you weren't faithful and honorable here on earth. That's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to honor our authority. We're supposed to submit. We're supposed to do what we're supposed to do and follow God's word. The Greek Gentile woman honored Jesus. When it appeared, he dishonored her. He referred to her as a dog. She left with a miracle. So Mark 7:26 through 30. And she begged him to cast out the demon from her daughter. Since she was a Gentile born in Cyrene, Phoenicia, Jesus told her, "First I should feed the children, my own family, the Jews. It isn't right to take food from the children and throw it to the dogs." She replied, "That is true, Lord, but even the dogs under the table were allowed to eat the scraps from the children's plates." "Good answer," he said. "Now go home, for the demon has left your daughter." And when she arrived home, she found her little girl lying quietly in bed, and the demon was gone. So this, you can say a lot of times that Jesus is drawing out her faith, and he is seeing if she will read his heart and not his actions. Because she could have just gave up and been like, he's not going to heal her, like he's just not going to. But even with the comment that he said, she still bargained with him. She still tried to get him to heal because she knew that he could, and she believed who he was, which showed honor. Because sometimes you have to go based on the heart, not what the situation looked like. If we're based on our feelings or based everything on what something looked like, you can totally misread a situation and get yourself in a bind, because that's not always the point. You have to know someone's heart. You have to know the situation and not about what it looks like. You have to go deeper than that. That's what shows your faith, and that's what shows your honor. Mark 10:40 through 42. "Anyone who honors you honors me, and anyone who receives me honors the Father who sent me. If you honor a prophet as one who speaks for God, you will be given the same reward as the prophet. And if you honor righteous people because of their righteousness, you will be given a reward like theirs. And if you even If you give even a cup of cold water to one of the least of my followers, you will surely be rewarded. So this, as you can see, every time the word receive, I put honor. I said honor, because when you receive and you understand, you show honor. When you receive what someone says, you're honoring them, that authority structure in your life. When you receive God's word and you do it, you're honoring God and what he says. And I think so many times, like I said a minute ago, you look at a situation, you base it off of what it looks like, and you can't be fleshly about things. You have to cut deeper than that. You have to understand the point. You have to understand the heart of it and not what it looks like. Ephesians 6, 1-3. Children, obey your parents because you belong to the Lord, for this is the right thing to do. Honor your father and mother. This is the first commandment with a promise. If you honor your father and mother, things will go well for you, and you will have a long life on earth. So notice this says, if you honor your father and mother, things will go well for you, and you will have a long life on earth. So you can say, if you don't honor your father and mother, things will not go well for you. That's a commandment. God said to honor your father and mother, so if you don't do what he says, you're going to get the opposite result. Exodus 20:12, honor your father and mother, then you will live a long, full life in the land of the Lord your God is giving you. So things will go well for you, and if you don't honor, then things will not go well for you. 1 Thessalonians 5:12, dear brothers and sisters, honor those who are your leaders in the Lord's work. They work hard among you and will give you spiritual guidance. So another point here, if you don't honor, then you will not have spiritual guidance, and you'll end up in a spiritual ditch instead. So imagine if I didn't have Dad giving me spiritual advice. That'd be scary. So you have to honor those people that God has placed in your life, because they give you that spiritual guidance. They give you that wisdom and that understanding that you don't have without them. They open your eyes. They show you a different perspective of things. Romans 3:1, everyone must submit to governing authorities, for all authority comes from God, and those in positions of authority have been placed there by God. So, as I close, I just want to say that, like on this point too, even if you get pulled over by a cop and it was your fault, obviously you got pulled over, and I've been in a couple wrecks and had to deal with them, so sorry. A minute ago when Luke was talking, I don't remember what you said, something about your parents aren't going to give you a car. I'm like, they ain't going to give me one if I wreck again. Me and Mom were cracking up. Sorry. But so I think it's just so important that we understand this principle of honor and understand how it works, and how if you have a problem with control, or you have a problem with trying to make things go your way, just to release it and submit, and just understand who God has placed in your life, understand who God is in general, understand that he has your back, and he's placed these people in your life to help you understand his ways and understand how you can get to your breakthrough and to your miracle.